I'm Cody. I'm a sophomore biomedical engineering student, and I'm really excited to be running for Vice President of Public Relations. I really want to run for Vice President of Public Relations for Student Union because I feel I have a dynamic vision that will improve communication on campus and help students and student groups get the resources that they need and that are accessible to them by Student Union. I really want to increase Student Union's transparency by being really open with the students. Improvements that can help the students directly are having consultants on the Public Relations Committee. One thing that I would do as Vice President of Public Relations is chair the Public Relations Committee, and I want to make it more of a resource to students rather than something that is just for Student Union. In this way, I would try and get art students and business school students who will work with communication design or anything that would help for promoting an event, and they would be there as a resource for student groups and students who need help or want help or would come to me with any questions.
Okay, so what new ways do you see yourself communicating to the student body? What different things and what's been done this year?
Alright, well, one big thing is the website. It is hard for students to navigate, especially if you're not a student union person. But one thing that I want to do is make sure that resources that are available to student union people are available to all students on the website. All the information is there somewhere, but it's not easily accessible. So I would kind of continue with what Morgan did this year as Vice President of Public Relations, is she started a Who Cares campaign, saying who cares about Student Union. And I would kind of develop that to be more of a resource for students rather than just an information thing. So students can see, oh, who cares? I care. I want to get involved, and I'm really passionate about something with green action, and I want to write a resolution. Well, that's up there. Right now, that information is available for senators on how to write a resolution, but that's not there for all students. Yeah.
Once you make that good website, how are you going to get people on it and get some student buy-in with that?
I think really associating everything that has our name with it will be tied in with the website. I know it's a really basic thing to do, but Facebook page will link to the website. Things from the website will be directly on the Facebook page if that's how students want to see their information.
Do you perceive the problems that SU's kind of currently facing regarding student apathy and that kind of thing stem from a real problem with the way SU conducts itself, or is it really just simply a PR problem?
I think there's a little bit of both. I think that some of the points that people are making about what the problems are within SU and the constitutional changes that people want to make are very valid and should be addressed. I do think that all students should have the opportunity to appeal to Treasury, and in that way go through the same process that student groups go to, so there are the same amount of checks and balances. As Vice President of Public Relations, one thing that I would do to increase awareness of this, as you talked about, it could be a PR problem, is to make sure students know that they can do this. Make sure that students know what the process is. Make sure students know, okay, I can apply to Treasury, how do I do it? What do I need? And so Treasury set up a Treasury liaison program that will be starting, I guess, at the end of the semester, that meet with student groups before they go to appeal for Treasury. The same thing would happen for students who directly want to apply to Treasury, and they would be given the same knowledge as student groups do. I also want to make kind of communication with the students from Student Union more of a two-way street, rather than me just providing them with all the information that SU does, rather than saying, oh, Senate passed a resolution, we did this, we do this. I want to also go out and kind of be like, so what do you think? What's important to you? How can we make SU relevant to you? I think that's been a big part of our campaign when laying the groundwork of our platform is what's important to students, what do you want to see? And I think following up with students that I work with is a good way to do this, and reaching out to student groups through the PR committee is another good way to do this.
You're running out of slate with the current Vice President of PR. How has that affected your plans for the upcoming year, and how much and the extent to which what you're going to be doing is a continuation of what's going on, and what will be sort of new and different?
All right, well, while working with her on the campaign and basically everything that we've been doing as a slate, I see what she's been doing as Vice President of Public Relations. So sometimes when we're meeting, discussing stuff, she has to finalize ordering the Washi Pride shirts, and I saw the process that she went through with doing that. I think it's been a great experience to see how she operates and what she's been doing. In addition, I've kind of come up with new ideas. With the Washi Pride shirts, I said, well, why don't we get these in the beginning of the year? Why don't we give these out to students when they first get to campus and they can wear them all year long? Why are we giving them out in the middle to end? And so just seeing her do things also gives me ideas that I can improve on and make Student Union better as an organization. And I see what her contact ideas are, and I see how I can expand upon them. With the Who Cares website, Morgan started that. She laid the groundwork for it. I like the idea behind it, but I think we can go a lot further with it.
Platform. They say you're going to create workshops to help students learn about activism. Do you think students are going to go to this?
I think one way that we want to incorporate these workshops is with presidents and treasurers training. So that's something that all presidents and treasurers go through in the beginning of the year for student groups. And I think that there are a lot of things that they do that are necessary for presidents and treasurers to know, but there's also some stuff that we can cut out of it and replace it with workshops that are part of this training, but also open to all students. So if there's a workshop about how to stage a protest and people are really interested in that, they can go to it. If there's a workshop on creative ways of publicity, they can go to that. And I think also holding those myself and working with the PR committee and kind of having these consultants that I mentioned before, they can expand upon that and directly meet with student groups one-on-one to give these ideas.
Bring back club nights. I think that'll win you a lot of points. If you can actually pull that off, how do you plan on doing that? I know there are a lot of issues with busing and underage restrictions in bars.
Well, we have spoken with administrators and we have been in contact with them, letting them know that this is something we want to do. We want to get these buses, and how can you help us make this happen? And so we've definitely gotten a lot of ideas and sorted through the potential problems that we'll face when we're doing that. In addition, we don't want to be the sole people putting on these club nights. We want to make them available for student groups to put on. So we will help them, we'll get them the buses, but we want student groups to kind of use these club nights to either promote events, or they can be fundraising tools. And I think I can help them a lot in terms of just the publicity for the club night itself and for whatever they want to get out of it.
There's a problem with over-programming. Do you see that as something you'd actually attack, or as kind of...
I do see my role as Vice President of Public Relations, if elected. I would be working a lot with the Vice President of Programming, because if they're working with other student groups or students to put on programming, or if they're putting on programming themselves, they need a way to promote it and get that to the student body. And so I would be there every step of the way with them, kind of seeing what they're doing. One thing that I have talked about with John Harrison, if we are both elected, is that we are going to sit down with student groups who are putting on these big events that everyone talks about, like Wild, Vertigo, Bauhaus, Diwali, things like that, and sitting down at the end of this year, even before next year starts, and being like, let's pick a date, let's make this work now, so when other student groups try and put on events or put on similar events, they can schedule it around you. In addition to that, what we want to do is communicate better with Treasury and communicate better with NSU. So we want to print out the link and put it in the Treasurer's binders. So when they go to make a decision about funding an event for a certain day, they know exactly what's going on that week. And we'll print out a new copy of the link each week and put it in the binders. Also utilizing the link better, linking it. There's a Facebook link that's being worked on that will kind of increase the compatibility between the link and Facebook, and making sure that student groups are aware of what's on the link is another great thing. I know the link was a good step in the right direction, but I think having more people use it for actually looking at over programming is a better option.
I mean, clearly you have ideas of how you would work with people on your slate, but there's a good chance that you could be elected and other people on another slate might also be elected. So how do you plan to deal with that kind of a situation? Are there people, do you look forward to working with if you had, if that was the way it would turn out?
Regardless, I think whoever the five of us are, or the five of them are, we should all be on the same page at some point. So during this transition period, we should be like, what do we want to accomplish as an exec council? I know we come from different backgrounds in different areas, but what's most important to us and how can we help each other accomplish that? So as Vice President of Public Relations, I would be there to communicate to the student body whatever we decide as a group and whatever is going on. So even if something happens that I don't necessarily agree with, I will make sure that the student body is aware of it. I will make sure that they know it's happening. And for example, with some of the constitutional amendments, I don't necessarily agree with everything that's being suggested or that has been suggested in the past, but I would make sure that students are aware and know the issues before voting.
A lot of people like to sort of throw around the idea of creative programming or creative PR methods without really defining it. So what does creative PR mean to you? What sort of things does it?
Okay, I think traditional ways of publicity are great. Are you talking about creative programming or me publicizing them?
Publicizing.
Okay. I think that some traditional ways are great. Posters, if they can catch someone's eye, they're great. But a lot of times there are posters and rules where people don't even see them. So I think one way that I actually just came up with recently is having someone buy a costume and walk around. If Shaq wants to buy a condom costume for Sex Week, I will encourage them to go apply for money for Treasury and get that and walk around during all of their events in a condom costume. I mean, it'll grab people's attention, they'll be aware, and it'll kind of create a buzz on campus of what's happening.